What if I told you that your brain lies to you every day? That the memories you hold most dear might be complete fabrications? And that's not even the weirdest part. Strangers can influence your decisions more than you realize, even from across a crowded room. We're talking about 15 mind-blowing psychology facts that will change how you see yourself, others, and reality itself. These facts are fun, weird, and sometimes a little freaky, but they're all backed by real psychological research, so sit back and prepare to have your mind twisted in the best way possible. Let's start with a real brainbuster. You trust your memories, right? They're the foundation of your identity. But what if I told you that those memories could be manipulated, even completely fabricated? This isn't science fiction, folks. This is the very real phenomenon of false memories. Researchers have shown that it's surprisingly easy to implant details, or even entire events, into someone's memory. Think of it like this. Your brain isn't a steel trap. It's more like a Wikipedia page. You can go in and edit it, intentionally or not. And the scariest part? You might never know the difference. Eyewitness testimony, childhood memories, even your own sense of self. All of it can be called into question once you realize just how malleable our memories really are. We humans are social creatures. We evolved to live in tribes, to rely on each other for survival. And that deep-seated need for connection is literally wired into our brains. How do we know? Because of something called mirror neurons. These specialized cells fire not only when we perform an action ourselves, but also when we observe someone else doing that same action. Mirror neurons also fire when we witness someone else experiencing an emotion, particularly pain. When you see someone stub their toe, you wince, right? When you watch a friend go through a breakup, you feel a pang of heartache yourself. That's your mirror neuron system kicking in, creating a visceral sense of shared experience. This is the foundation of empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. We like to think we're in control, that our decisions are our own. But what if I told you that your brain starts making choices before you're even consciously aware of them? Now, before you get too existential on me, let's look at the science. Researchers hooked volunteers up to brain scanners and asked them to make a simple decision: to press a button with their left hand or their right. By monitoring brain activity, the researchers could predict which hand the person would choose up to 7 seconds before the participant was consciously aware of making the decision. Some argue that this experiment challenges the very notion of conscious choice, suggesting that our conscious minds are merely playing catch-up with decisions already made by our subconscious. We all have those memories that are burned into our minds, moments of intense joy, sorrow, or fear. But here's the thing about emotional memories. They're often unreliable. It all comes down to the way our brains prioritize information. When you experience something emotionally charged, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, kicks into high gear, tagging that memory as important. This ensures that you remember the experience vividly, but it also comes at a cost. Emotion distorts the details. The stronger the feeling, the more likely the memory is to be inaccurate. This isn't to say that all emotional memories are false, but it does mean we need to be cautious about placing too much trust in them. Our memories are not perfect recordings of the past. They're subjective interpretations, colored by our feelings and filtered through the lens of our own experiences. We live in a world obsessed with productivity, where multitasking is often seen as a badge of honor. But here's the cold, hard truth. Your brain hates it. Despite what you might believe, your brain isn't designed to juggle multiple tasks at once. When you try to multitask, you're not actually doing multiple things simultaneously. You're rapidly switching your attention back and forth between tasks. This is called task switching, and it's a recipe for disaster. Every time you switch your focus, your brain has to expend energy reorienting itself, which takes time and mental resources. The result? Increased errors, decreased productivity, and a whole lot of unnecessary stress. We've all felt the sting of rejection, whether it's a romantic rebuff, a social snub, or a professional setback. And while we tend to think of these experiences as purely emotional, the truth is, they're deeply physical as well. MRI scans show that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. That's right, your brain processes heartbreak in the same way it processes a broken bone or a burn. This might seem surprising at first, but when you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, it makes perfect sense. Back in the day, social rejection could mean being ostracized from the tribe, which often meant death. Our brains evolved to avoid social pain just as fiercely as we avoid physical pain. Think about the people you find most likable. Are they perfect in every way? Or do they have flaws, quirks, and imperfections that make them feel more relatable, more human? If you're like most people, you probably gravitate towards those who aren't afraid to show their human side. This is called the pratfall effect, and it's a fascinating quirk of human psychology. The idea is simple. People who never make mistakes can come across as intimidating, even unapproachable. But a small blunder, a moment of clumsiness, can actually make you more likable. It shows that you're not afraid to be vulnerable, to be seen as less than perfect. We like to think we're rational beings, immune to manipulation, but the truth is, our brains are wired to take shortcuts, to conserve energy whenever possible. And this tendency can make us vulnerable to a sneaky little phenomenon known as the illusory truth effect. Here's how it works. The more often you hear something, even if it's a lie, the more likely you are to believe it's true. This is because our brains equate familiarity with truth. And in the age of social media, where misinformation spreads like wildfire, the illusory truth effect is more powerful than ever. We're often told that we do our best thinking when we're well-rested and alert. But what if I told you that sometimes the most creative ideas come to us when we're exhausted? It sounds counterintuitive, but there's a growing body of research suggesting that tiredness can actually boost creativity. When you're tired, your brain isn't as good at filtering out distractions, at sticking to well-worn neural pathways. This mental looseness can lead to unexpected connections, novel ideas, and fresh perspectives. Those moments of aha often occur when we're least expecting them, when our minds are free to wander and make connections our conscious minds might have missed. Ever walk into a room and feel like everyone's staring at you? Or maybe you tripped and spilled coffee on yourself, and you're convinced everyone saw and is secretly judging you? Relax, you're probably the only one giving it much thought. This is the spotlight effect in action, the tendency to overestimate how much other people notice us. The truth is, most people are so wrapped up in their own thoughts, insecurities, and to-do lists that they barely register what's going on around them. They're not paying nearly as much attention to you as you think they are. This isn't to say that people don't notice you at all, but it's a good reminder to take it easy on yourself. People are far less concerned with your every move than you think they are. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and when it comes to human connection, there's no denying the power of eye contact. But here's the thing about eye contact, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, eye contact is essential for building trust and rapport. When someone meets our gaze, it signals that they're present, engaged, and interested in what we have to say. This triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which creates feelings of connection and warmth. But prolonged eye contact can also be interpreted as a threat, especially in unfamiliar or uncomfortable situations. Music is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful force that shapes our perceptions, influences our emotions, and even alters our sense of time. Happy music can make the world seem brighter, more vibrant. Sad music can make time seem to slow down, each moment stretching out like taffy. This is because music has a direct line to our emotions. It bypasses our rational mind and taps directly into the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. The tempo, the melody, the instrumentation, all of these elements work together to create a specific emotional response. Let's face it, our brains are wired for negativity. We're naturally drawn to the bad stuff, the threats, the dangers. This negativity bias is an evolutionary leftover from our hunter-gatherer days, when being able to spot danger meant the difference between life and death. But in today's world, this negativity bias can do more harm than good. It can lead to anxiety, stress, and a distorted view of reality. We dwell on negative experiences, replaying them over and over in our minds, while positive experiences fade into the background. Ever notice how you tend to unconsciously mimic the posture, gestures, and even speech patterns of people you like? This subconscious mirroring is called the chameleon effect, and it's a powerful tool for building rapport. When we mirror someone's behavior, it signals that we're on the same wavelength, that we understand and relate to them. This creates a sense of trust and connection, paving the way for deeper, more meaningful interactions. Your brain does it automatically, picking up on subtle cues in body language and mirroring them back. The placebo effect is one of the most fascinating and well-documented phenomena in medicine. It's proof that our minds have the power to heal our bodies, even in the absence of any real medical intervention. The basic idea is this: if you believe that a treatment will work, it's more likely to be effective, even if the treatment itself is a sugar pill or a sham procedure. But here's the really mind-blowing part. The placebo effect works even when you know it's fake. That's right, even when patients are told they're receiving a placebo, they often experience real, measurable improvements in their symptoms. When we expect something to happen, Our brains release neurochemicals that can actually create physical changes in the body. The human mind is stranger than fiction, beautiful, bizarre, and full of surprises. And the more we learn about it, the more we realize just how much we don't know. But here's the thing, the more you understand about how your mind works, the more control you gain over your choices, your happiness, and your relationships. You're not just a passenger along for the ride, you're the architect of your own experience. Coming up next, weird psychology facts that explain the human behavior. Hit that like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your mind will thank you.